all have our masculine and our feminine aspects. I love, love, love all of these men that are just so vulnerable and transparent and evolved in their intuition and their feminine energy. And I believe most spiritual women want a soulmate. By that, I mean a spiritual ally who is sensitive. It's so powerful to dance in the polarities. And as a woman, to also have that man have the strength, the generosity, that natural provider, the presence, the holding steady that I believe is an evolved masculine frequency.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode. Jill Crosby, the owner of Conscious Dating Network, comprised of multiple online dating sites, including Spiritual Singles, Green Singles, Conscious Singles, and many others. Today, I'm really excited to interview long-term friend and success story, Joy Taylor. She met her fiance on Spiritual Singles. She's also a women's way of awakening facilitator. She really helps women get in touch with their femininity, heal and grow and live and learn and love, and just so amazing. Welcome, Joy. Thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, Jill, it's really fun to be here. And I have so much gratitude for you, as you know, beyond our friendship. I'm just so grateful that I got on your site and I met Gavin, and it's just changed my life to be in such a healthy relationship.
It's beautiful. And I remember when you told me, you're like, I think I'm ready. I'm finally ready to go on your site. And I'm like, God, it's about time, get on there. And like in 1 month, you find your guy because you actually did a lot of personal growth and you waited until you were ready.
You know, I did get the nudge. I got like an energetic nudge that it was time. And you're right. I had dedicated the 4 months prior to some deeper personal work because I had gone through a really life-changing experience. I had ended a relationship that I was in, and I had a financial loss, and I had some health things come up, and I was relocating. So I was at such a pivot point in my life that I knew I needed to take time for me. But at a certain time in that cycle, I really felt like, oh, there's someone out there. There is someone out there looking for me right now. It actually brings tears to my eyes. I'm highly sensitive. I sensed that he lived to the north. And I remember before I got on your site, I said to him, I'm almost ready. I'm almost ready. Hang in there. Energetically, right? I said to him.
Ooh, yeah, I get goosebumps. It's yeah. And I love that because there's a part where it's so important to honor where we are and then to also listen to that nudge and follow that guidance. Like, hey, it's time to get on. It's time to meet somebody. He's waiting for you. And he was. And you know, I've interviewed both of you together and now both of you separate. So it's pretty interesting to see perspectives from both sides.
I'm a professional woman. I'm an entrepreneur. I have had my own business for years. I was regrouping on that level too. And I felt like when I was in that stage of rebuilding and pivoting my work, and I was pretty driven and focused, I wanted to give myself time to do that because I knew that takes a lot of oomph. And that wasn't how I wanted to show up when I was engaging with a potential partner, a man. You know, I didn't really want to show up in that busy, driven energy because I kind of figured if I did, I'd attract a real feminine man because I was so strongly in my masculine, right?
Exactly. And that's what we're going to talk about today primarily is how do, strong, confident, successful women attract a partner that's strong and confident and masculine. Most of us women, especially us stronger women, we want a more masculine man, but we want balance. We want both, right? So that balance is key. So what do we do as women to attract a more masculine man?
I get that question all the time, and I love that. And I was asking myself the same thing. And, because it is true, we all have our masculine and our feminine aspects. I love, love, love all of these men that are just so vulnerable and transparent and evolved in their intuition and their feminine energy. And I believe most spiritual women want a soulmate. By that, I mean a spiritual ally who is sensitive. It's so powerful to dance in the polarities, and as a woman to also have that man have the strength, the generosity, that natural provider, the presence, the holding steady that I believe is an evolved masculine frequency. And yeah, so many single women too, like we're so strong in our own masculine energy. And I mean evolved masculine. Like I learned how to hold space for myself during my healing. I learned how to create structures in my business so that I could flow more freely in my business. I've learned as a woman who's been single as an adult at different phases in my life, how to be directive and take initiative. And those are really important muscles for us as women to have, especially when we're single. I do think it's really easy to overemphasize those and stay in that frequency, because our world is a little dominated by that masculine energy, and to not rest back and explore and get in touch with the feminine. And the more we get in touch with the relaxed, receptive, allowing feminine energy, the divine feminine inside of ourselves, will bring out the masculine in a man. It goes both ways. His masculinity will soften us. Our softening will bring out his strength, his provider, his initiative.
So from that premise, everybody has masculine and feminine energy. If we meet a man that's more in touch with his femininity, we can draw out his more masculine energy by being more feminine, more receptive, more in the flow. What else? Like, how does that dance, that balance work? And, or do we just attract a more masculine man to begin with?
Well, I love that, because, we can't fix anyone, right? And we want to meet someone that we might see their potential, right? We might see where they're headed, like I did with Gavin, right? But I like who he is now. So I wouldn't recommend, if a woman is finding a man who's extremely in his feminine and it's not allowing her to drop into hers, it's probably not the polarity, unless that's the polarity switch that the couple wants to play. And it happens where a woman is more career and strong, and the man is a little bit more in his receptive. And so I'm not saying there's one way or another. But I will say that, like you said, there's a lot of women on your site that are like, wow, I want a man who's sensitive and vulnerable and also strong. So, we can see the potential of the evolution of a man's masculine energy. However, we want to say yes to one who is grounded in that already. And so I guess to answer your question, how can we bring out more of that masculine? How can we bring in our feminine? I mean, I really did a lot of practices, Jill. We've talked about this before. Yeah. My biggest key was I followed the energy of being receptive. I realized, like, one of the strongest elements of a woman is she opens to receive the penetration, literally, of a man, right? So we soften, we open. And so I was in the deep prayer and action of spending time in nature alone. I live in Mount Shasta, where, there's the lakes, swimming in the lakes and feeling the water on my skin. Like almost became like a lover with nature in the sense of opening my sensuality. And it's really key, and just relaxing. So I'm building my career, I'm focused, I'm driven, but I know how to, and I learned how to shut the door of my office and take a deep breath. And actually now I bring more of that into my business too, by the way.
I like this idea of the kind of sensuality with nature and cultivating that relationship and that receiving. I swim, I live in the Caribbean and I swim in the Caribbean Sea in the mornings. And I was just imagining right now I get into a meditative state and I connect with the turtles and the eagle rays and the fish and the dolphins when they happen to come by. But I'm still, it's a combination, I guess, of being receptive and receiving like turtle love and turtle energy. And yet I'm also sending out, I love you energy too. So how do you see more, like, how could I be more receptive? Like, let's use me as an example here of, as we coach women, how to be more receptive. So when I'm swimming, what could help me be more receptive even?
It would be really fun next time you go out, which is probably going to be tomorrow.
Yep.
Yeah, just having that intention, that deep, deep desire to feel, feel what you might feel from the turtle. And instead of turning on the giving back, it will naturally happen. Probably. It usually does. But just experience, like, what is the turtle offering you?
Okay. Yeah.
And Jill, I'm also wanting to just say ways to receive. The other thing, I had a mantra and I said it often. Thank you for all the blessings I have received. Thank you for all the blessings I am receiving, and thank you for all the blessings I will receive. So then I'm having a receptive relationship with spirit or life or the universe. I'm like, okay, I'm ready to receive my good. Good is coming my way, right? So I'm in the receiving. The other thing, and this, I mean, I really studied it, right? I really embodied it. I'm still doing it. You know how people give you a compliment?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like, take it in deeper. Take it in even deeper.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. I like that. Yeah.
By the way, the other thing about being in the frequency of receiving the blessings from spirit, the yumminess of nature, the compliments from others, we become receptors or receptive. And for the spiritual women who are wanting to have a more direct connection with their guides, messages, this is also what is a benefit of getting into that divine feminine.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like when we're meditating to be receptive and we just say, thank you, bring me more, or thank you, thank you, thank you, and just receive and take it all in. I think you're right. That's super, super powerful.
I love that you're saying all of this. And then we hit the wall, right? I had to, like, can I tolerate more bliss?
Is it okay?
Can I actually,
we have this program that we're not supposed to have too much of something, right? That's like deep innate feeling of you can only have so much good. So you hit the wall.
I know. And then it was like, yeah, I can. I mean, I keep expanding my ability to receive happiness and joy and delight in my life and with my lover, Gavin, right? So starting with myself and in my own world. The worthiness of that dream sometimes meets up against beliefs. Like there's no good men out there, or all the spiritual men are too feminine, or the good ones are taken, or any of all of that. And, it's somehow I just had a stronger belief, and I still do, that there's a lot of great men out there. I mean, Jill, what's your feeling about that? Just for any woman watching this saying, oh, I don't think there's enough fish in the sea.
Right. Well, I totally agree. I'll go on my site and I'll look at profiles sometimes just for the heck of it and be like reading men's profiles, and I'll just be amazed at how great they are, like how evolved they are and what they write in their profile. There are a lot of really, really wonderful men, and we are worthy. We are worthy to have a wonderful, beautiful relationship. And that's probably one of the starting points for a lot of people, is to claim that and go, yeah, hey, I am worthy of that. I do deserve that. Why not? Why not me? I can, I deserve it.
We bring out the best in each other. When we find a compatible match, and compatibility matters, we bring out the best in each other. So we were talking earlier how to bring out the best in your man, right?
Yeah.
And even if it's just dating. So the parts of the profile, for example, that really stood out to you, that you really loved, share that with this guy that you're dating. Whenever he does something that feels like he's being generous or providing or strong or holding space or stable, like not trying to fix you, but actually just being there for you and letting you be you, that's a very masculine trait, right? Thank him. Let him know, I love it when you do that. And we can also ask for what we want. So in relationship or in the dating process, one thing women tend to want is to be able to emote, express, and be free, because we are just, men are too, but women sometimes like to talk and like to be heard.
Yes.
So we don't want to be fixed, whereas men love to fix. But even just to ask, like, hey, would you be willing to hold space? Like, all I want you to do is love me with your eyes and your attention, and let me just self-facilitate. Would you be willing to do that for me? And then he's naturally put into a masculine Shiva, if you will, energy of presence and love, while there's an unwinding that might want to happen for the woman. So we're asking for what we want. We're pointing out when the man is doing something that is feeling like more of what we want, in terms of, I'm worthy, I deserve it, I want it. I believe it's so awesome when women take initiative. And if you find a man on the site, it's very feminine to take, it's the most natural thing in the world to like reach out and say, you caught my eye. I loved this about your profile. Perhaps you'd like to take a look at my profile and see if there's something here for us to explore. However, but like that overture doesn't have to just come from men. Think about like flowers, right? So it's like flowers pop out and they're like, they're beautiful and they want to be seen, right? So it's just sort of saying, hi, I'm here. I'm a flower in the field. It's like, notice me. And see if it feels good to you, right? And I don't mean that all in image and superficial, because it's not how the other person looks. It's really, at least for me, it was more of a feeling I got from his words and who he, showed up as in the world. Anyone who feels it in their heart that they want to share a life with someone else and create the relationship of their dreams, which will look like whatever they want it to look like. If you feel that, I believe it's there. I really do.
That's huge, because and that brings up, I've created a really wonderful life, and yet the only way I want to bring in a partner, because I'm single right now, would be if he's going to enhance my life. And I think putting that kind of stipulation out there is important, like, to bring in that intention of, he's going to come in and my life will be better. Otherwise, we're happy being alone, and that's okay.
Do turn up the dimmer switch, though. There can be a stance or a posture that women take, like, I got it, I'm good, I don't need a man. And it feels a little protective sometimes. So just only whoever's listening, if you're saying that because you're protecting yourself and afraid and don't think it'll ever happen. Oh, there's also the tone of, I'm good. I am really, really good in my life. I love my life, and I'm turning up the energy to be attractive and to attract. a man that is going to bring out more in my life. So I'm open. So back to being feminine, I'm open to receiving the blessing of a partnership. I'm open. So when we do that, I want to say one more thing, that what I did a lot of actually before I met Gavin is I did run a lot of energy up my central channel. I had a practice of working with, some people call it Kundalini energy, but breath practices that really worked through my spine, up and down my spine, so that I was enlivening my body, which is really important, so that when I do walk around the world, I'm grounded, I'm centered, I've got myself here, I'm happy. And the switch is on, like I'm open. Now I got a ring on my finger. I'm still in that flow. And I'm so committed and loyal to my man. And I think men can sense the difference, right? They sense it. Like men have snippers as much as women. So, there is a little bit of a dimmer switch, turn it on. Like I'm happy in my life. I love my life. I'm joyful. I'm taking care of myself. I'm letting energy run in my body. I take care of me. I love me. I have a sensual relationship with nature. And if the right man comes along, I'm open.
I love it. Exactly. That's perfect.
I have seen men, including Gavin, transform with love. Like I just loved him up as he was. And we've told our story. He lost 30 pounds since we were together. He started lifting weights and doing yoga. His whole physique changed. Men do change in their appearance, in their youthfulness, because they're getting nurtured. They're getting a lot of good juju from us and vice versa. And both of us actually feel fresher and more alive because we're just loving each other so much. And so men will change.
When women are going through the site and looking at profiles, I mean, obviously that photo is going to be the first thing that catches their attention. However, I think it's really important to look much deeper than that and to read the whole profile and give them the benefit of the doubt, and especially those that have reached out and contacted them and sent a heartfelt message and said, hey, I'm interested in you. What do you think? When the men do that, don't just write them off right away if you don't think they're the most handsome guy in the world. Check out the profile and get a feel for what they wrote, because I tell you, sometimes the pictures don't do them justice. You can get them on a Zoom conversation and really see them and go, oh, and feel them and hear them, because the voice has so much to do with chemistry. When you hear that voice, if it's, whatever, I like a deep voice myself. If I hear a nice, deep, sexy voice, I'm like, woo, he could not be that handsome, but the voice might do it for me.
When you went, woo, I felt like it just happened. It was like
what?
Okay, more please. That was really beautiful. Like, do that. Any guys are listening to this, have a friend take a portrait photo of you. I think women, we love doing that. Like, we're more apt to do a photo shoot with a friend and put it up, but
and that's important to say too. You don't necessarily need a friend. You could take selfies too. It is handy to have a friend take a full body shot of someone. Like you could even be doing a sport if you're a guy or a girl, or doing yoga or lifting weights or whatever.
I wanted to just bring up one more thing, Jill, that I think might be kind of like, it's key for women and men, but I've heard a lot of women, they do initiate and then they feel like the man blows them off. Either he starts a conversation and never follows up, or just never responds. And I know that you educate and encourage people, as do we, to send thank yous, and my intuition is telling me it's not a match, or something really lovely and affirming. And so I want to really encourage everyone to do that, and make it simple, have a template. It just feels better. But I do know that it's easy, because I've been there, right? Not necessarily in the online arena, but in the world, where it can be discouraging. I can feel rejected. And it can almost be like throw in the towel. It's never going to happen. And I want to just say it's so worth the wait. It doesn't mean anything's wrong with you. always do personal growth because that's what we're here to do. Always live your purpose because your ministry will attract someone that will support you in your gifts. But we're fine the way we are. And there's so many components that align you and your partner to meet each other. You know, maybe he's not ready yet. Maybe there's something your soul needs to walk through before it's time. So just allowing and accepting that there's a divine timing and keep the faith. Keep the faith. As I've gone on my path of evolution and I realized that, you know, I am a soul ultimately in body. I just take myself so seriously. But Gavin, oh man, we just laughed from the beginning. And it was because we felt like we could be ourselves, which, you know, of course, that goes without saying. As we're talking about being feminine and bringing that out in ourselves, also just be you. You know, I'm goofy. I'm goofy. I'm kind of and he's kind of a dork. And early on, we gave each other a bunch of like funny names. Like I was the goofball and he was the dork. So like when I spilled on myself or tripped, or you know, he wore black socks with shorts. Who does that? Anyway, you know, yeah. And I called him Tenderfoot because his feet couldn't walk on the rocks going down to the beach. You know, we had a lot of fun.
And he didn't take it personally when you made fun of his black socks or called him tender feet or things like that. And I think that's the key too, is when you get out of that ego and worrying about what other people think, and you can just relax and be yourself, that's when our playfulness comes out.
Absolutely. I was going to say, in our 4-part workshop series that you and Gavin and I do together, we go deeper into compatibility and all 4 elements of compatibility, but also into how we want to feel, how important it is to tap into how we want to feel in relationships. So I'm glad you brought that up. And I just want to say that my intention here is for more people to find each other, more dedicated beings that are really, you know, ready for love, to share love with another. And then it just adds to this whole planet. Because I mean, it is kind of like all hands on deck, folks. You know, it doesn't mean it has to be hard work. It can be beautiful. The more of us that are like tolerating pleasure, bliss, delight, whatever, ecstasy, the more of us who are willing to live in that, it will change the trajectory of humanity. And we also will be more receptive to our divine call and solutions. You know, it's the world is ready for environmental solutions. Now I'm on that soapbox, but the world is ready. The world is ready. And power couples or couples that love each other or people that have fulfilling relationships are so equipped to give more. So we receive, we give, we receive, we give, until it's really the same thing.
Yeah. Well, and I've seen that over the years where couples will meet on the site. They say that, you know, their 1 + 1 = unlimited. It's just like their energy coming together. Maybe they start a retreat center, or they write a book together, or they start a YouTube channel and start traveling around the world, or whatever it is they're doing. They wouldn't have necessarily done it by themselves. Why not? Let's bring it in now. All of us bring in our partners and just start thriving even more.
Thriving even more. And in our success story interview, we talk about and letting the relationship do what it's meant to do, which is to support us in our own personal growth, which means there'll be triggers, there'll be moments of stress, there'll be shadows revealed, all that good stuff is going to happen. And there's a container that's loving to allow that transformation to take place. It's not always easy. We have to feel our feelings. We need to retrace some of our memories. But that's the task at hand for anyone who's on the planet and conscious and spiritual right now. And I think that's who we're talking to. That's who's watching this video.
Definitely. And we have a a 4-week, every Wednesday, it's going to be in August, of an online course that Joy, Gavin, and I are going to be facilitating. Join one of the sites if you're not a member yet, and then you'll be receiving the email about the online course when it comes up. And stay tuned for more fun interviews. Thank you for being here with us. We really appreciate you.
Thank you, Jill. Very fun.
Thank you, Joy.